Hey guys, what is going on? I hope you're all having a fantastic day today. At least a better day than the Studio Compulsion Games is having. Alright, so, at the beginning of 2025, I made a video talking about Compulsion Games and South of Midnight. Honestly, I don't think that video was that great. Not because of the opinions I shared in the video, I still agree with them, but because of how the video was put together and the way that I conducted myself, I just think the video was kinda bad, to be honest. But we're revisiting this topic today. It has been about a year and a half since I have talked about this topic, and I guess it's good to be back. In the video that I made at the beginning of 2025, I talked about how Compulsion Games had one of their lead people come out and constantly make tweets berating and just kind of talking down to white men and Asians in general. I talked about how this was terrible business for a public Twitter account. I mean, if you're just a random nobody and you want to share racism on the internet, I don't really give a shit. I mean, it doesn't really mean much. Nobody should take the racist opinions of Joe Schmo with 2 followers seriously. Or, the opinions of fucking Sally with 2 followers seriously. But it's a little bit different when you're the public account for a video game, or you're a public account who is openly working on a video game. I think it's very different than just being a random person being racist on the internet. Here is a little snippet from that video just showing you the kind of statements that I am talking about. Anyway, let's just go over the screenshots that I take issue with. The first one here, I hate gamers when you work for a video game company. The next tweet that I took issue with is the sheer level of scum-sucking filth that permeates the gaming community is abhorrent. I'm disgusted to even share an interest with so many terrible people. We also need to be very honest about the elephant in the room. The majority of the perpetrators are white/white adjacent cishet men, which I think just means straight. Also, what the hell does white adjacent mean? You can see here there's a couple screenshots of her calling white people a certain word. I would read it out, but the thing is, dude, I don't know how sensitive YouTube is to this sort of shit. I'm pretty sure they would let me off with the word crackers. If not, oh well. Anyway, those were the tweets that I was talking about. Is it like some insane, never heard before shit? No, of course not. But is it something that you should be saying if you're a public person working on a video game? And is it something you should be saying, especially when you consider that white men and Asians are a very large majority of the gaming audience? Obviously not. Now, after I posted that video, time went on, the game came out, it didn't do too hot. I remember a lot of people were like coping about it, bro, but it's in Game Pass, and like all this other shit. Obviously, the reality is the game just didn't perform well. And whatever, man. Game didn't perform well, and now it's time to face reality. The game didn't perform well, and that means layoffs. Well, at least potentially. Because Microsoft is planning to shut down the studio, to the surprise of, I'm sure, absolutely fucking nobody. Kotaku put out this article saying Xbox is planning to shutter Peabody Award-winning South of Midnight studio Compulsion Games. And you can see they put a little update there. Update, studio leadership is currently in negotiations with Microsoft. I think this really puts the argument to rest that this game did not flop. Obviously, if the game did not flop, we would not be in this situation with the studio. Now, I do have to be 100% honest with you guys. As satisfying as it would be if this game flopped because of the social media statements made by the person working on the game, I just don't think that is reality. If you take a look at the average gamer, they do not care about the dramas going on social media with people who work on the game or anything like that, and tons of games have developers that say insanely out of pocket or fucked up things, and the games still do completely fine. So to say this game failed because of the social media statements, I think would just be very narrow-minded. Obviously, someone like me who is a YouTube creator is going to care more about dramas with a specific video game rather than your average gamer. Continuing on. Xbox is planning to shut down Compulsion Games, developer of Peabody Award-winning South of Midnight and We Happy Few, Kotaku has learned. It is unclear how many individuals total will be impacted. The studio's LinkedIn page says around 90 individuals work there, though Kotaku understands the actual total to be higher, and multiple individuals have now posted on social media looking for work. Just 2 months ago, the studio's talent lead was posting job listings on LinkedIn for the studio, advertising work on a fascinating, intriguing, brand new IP.
Oh no!
I know!
I think this kind of proves a point, and we're going to circle back to this again in a little bit, but it doesn't matter how many awards you get at the Gaming Awards Showcase or whatever. At the end of the day, the thing that matters the most is, did the game sell? And in this instance right here, the answer is a resounding no. And this is why I get upset when I see people say, "Oh dude, why do you care about game sales? Oh, you're an idiot, you're a grifter because you care about game sales." No, game sales are very important. A game selling well is the difference between you getting a sequel and you getting absolutely nothing at all from that studio, potentially. Now, if you're just a random YouTube viewer and a gamer and you don't give a shit about game sales, that's fine. But it makes sense for YouTubers to care more about game sales than your average Joe. Alright, retarded rant over, I'm getting back to the video now. There was an update at 1:15 p.m. Eastern Time. According to one source at the studio, Compulsion leadership is in negotiations with Microsoft over the studio's fate, but the details of these negotiations have not been disclosed. So there might be layoffs, there might not be if they can manage to work something out with Microsoft. I have a great idea. Let's be honest, nobody's listening to me, but my idea is you take everyone who was working on South of Midnight and you just bring them to another studio and have them work on something different, and you take the social media person who decided to fucking block me and you fire them from a cannon. That's a great idea. Microsoft, I hope you're taking notes. Wait, hold up. At the time that I'm recording the voiceover for this video, it turns out Microsoft did not employ that fantastic strategy that I just came up with. Instead, they decided to do another price increase on the Xbox consoles. Way to go, Microsoft. You're doing fucking fantastic. Original story continues below. This comes just days after Xbox CEO Asha Sharma and Microsoft Game Studios head, Matt Booty, published an open email to the company revealing Xbox's recent financial and logistical struggles, amid reports that mass layoffs were expected to begin in the coming weeks. And just earlier today, the Game Business reported that head of Xbox Game Studios, Craig Duncan, had resigned after less than 2 years in the role. Sharma had praised Compulsion just earlier this year. The big things that we're thinking about are we want to make great games, she told GameFile in April, and so, you know, Chief Content Officer Matt Booty can talk about that. The Peabody Award for South of Midnight, Kiln, coming out today. I just feel like every day there's something wonderful there. Getting praised by Microsoft nowadays is basically just Microsoft telling you that they're about to lay you off. Does anybody remember Hi-Fi Rush and how Microsoft praised the studio and then went on to basically lay them all off? I would like to say I do feel like it's a little bit unfair to compare South of Midnight to Hi-Fi Rush, because Hi-Fi Rush actually had a decent amount of fans. I personally think Hi-Fi Rush was a very well designed game. And South of Midnight, well, mid is in the name.
Mid!
Booty, meanwhile, had pointed to Compulsion as an example of Xbox's pursuit of award-winning games. South of Midnight today won a Peabody Award, which I think is such a validation of the storytelling capability of games these days, he said in the same interview. And that's right on the heels of them winning a BAFTA for new IP a couple Fridays ago. And that is our goal, right? I mean, we run a portfolio, and our portfolio includes some of the biggest franchises on the planet, Call of Duty and Minecraft, but we're also dedicated to places where new, intellectual property can come to life, and where these stories can be told, you know? In our studios like Compulsion and Double Fine that got some nominations for Keeper. Xbox did not respond to Kotaku's request for comment. Anyway, that was the article. Basically a perfect example of karma coming in at full force. I want to go over a couple comments that were actually left on this article and give my 2 cents on them. This first comment here comes from Lee K, and Lee says, "We Happy Few was released in a disastrous state, and never rose to anything beyond mediocre. And South of Midnight was stylish to look at in terms of still images, but an absolute mess to play and a sales disaster. So it's no surprise they're getting shuttered. Take the culture wars stuff out of it, and you can see it was just a commercial no-brainer. It's a studio that has been a spectacular failure for over a decade." Now this circles back to what I said earlier with my statement about how even if there wasn't culture war controversies around this game and the social media developers hadn't came out and made racist statements, the game would have still flopped, because at the end of the day there was really nothing special about the game. A lot of people describe it as simply a walking simulator. Which, if you like that sort of thing, whatever, man, but most people don't. Most people don't really like walking sims. Unless they come from Sony. I also find it really interesting that this comment actually got double the amount of likes than dislikes. You can see the comment got 13 likes and 7 dislikes, and this is from Kotaku readers. So the fact that this comment was actually agreed upon by Kotaku readers, I think is kind of crazy. The other comment I wanted to go over comes from a guy named Chris, and Chris said, "Funny that anyone thinks awards matter nowadays when keeping studios open." You can see here that the comment actually got more dislikes than likes, but the truth is what Chris is saying is entirely accurate. It doesn't matter how many awards your studio gets. If the game does not sell, you will not stay open. That is the reality of today's gaming market. Anyway, that's pretty much everything I had to say for today's video. I do appreciate all you guys stopping by and taking the time out of your day to listen to what I had to say. And if you did like the video, a like and a sub would be greatly appreciated. On the contrary, if you didn't like the video, you can leave a dislike and a mean comment. Alright guys, I'm out.